So this is what we're doing. Pretty simple. So the key here is getting that dip in the glass deep enough that it looks like a heart, but it's hard to do without a ring sock. And so these are some test pieces, kind of, you know, not my favorites, but it gives you an idea. You know, these are just with fret. And then this one I really kind of like. Okay, so this one is with colored glass, so you can see sort of a, that might be neo lavender and some sort of emerald green, but the glass is silver backed. So the silver sort of emerges up, and that's dichroic.com sells that. So if you want silver backed glass, I'll show you what it looks like here. So that's like neo lavender, but the back is silver. And this is, oh, emerald green. Look how good that was. Emerald green, but the back is silver. So let's start at the beginning. The beginning is you take 2 pieces of glass. Doesn't matter the size, depends on your heart. And you cut out your shape. If you want to know what your heart's going to look like, if you want a special shape and you want to plan it ahead of time, you know, cut it out. Just cut it out of a piece of paper. That's too round. I don't really like it. Here we go like that. I think I like that one better. Look, that's a good looking heart. I like that shape. But I only need half of this. Just half of it. And we take the half and set it on the glass. So I don't know, can you see that? And you don't have to. If you want to freehand this, all these were freehand, but you can kind of tell, right? And sort of trace it out. So that's kind of what it looks like, right? Take your glass cutter. Okay. We have a basic shape. Okay, so all I did was grows it to get it kind of into the shape I wanted. So you can see it kind of matches. All I did was grows it away. Now I'm gonna do it on the other one. Doesn't have to be perfect. I don't like perfect. Okay, so what have we got here? We have two little pieces here, right? Here's the tricky part. I take transparent tape. Not invisible tape. It's the one that you can totally see through. See that? It's not frosty. You can totally see through the tape. I just tape them together. Okay. I just taped it front and back, and there's a reason. If you only do one side, when you go to move it, it will bend. So I like doing it on both sides. Okay, from here, I like doing the fret on the white. I like doing dichro on that one. On the black, it might be kind of fun to mix the two colors. So I have a spring green opal that is a sulfur glass. So see, I put the little S there. And, oh, this might have a reaction. Teal green opal, which is a copper. They're going to react, aren't they? But they look so pretty in there. I went to grab the transparent, and then I ended up grabbing this one. This is hairspray. White Rain hairspray. Spray it in there. If you want, you can put it on the heart first and then spray it, but then it goes everywhere, like you saw. And this just kind of keeps it into a pile. This will probably turn out to be a big brown piece because of the reaction. But if I had put, let's say, the green around the outside and just put some blue in the middle or vice versa, I would only have that reaction where they were touching. But this isn't perfect. I just want to give you the idea. I have one layer of glass and more than one layer of frit. You know, it's got to be piled high because frit has air spaces in it and it's going to crush down. So you just want it kind of piled high so that it will create kind of 2 layers of glass. And I would spend more time filling around the edges. I have black glass. And I like to use that with the dichro, and I use transparent dichro. Okay, this tape will burn off. So, there's our heart. Now, when you're doing dichro, something like this, see if you guys can see that. And let me get something to point with. when you put these dichro pieces on, all I do is put them across at an angle to cover that center seam, right? You can kind of see that center seam back there. No one's going to notice. This piece right here, let's see, that piece right there, that one, the dichro is up and there's no clear on top of it. So you're seeing sort of a, you know, kind of matte finished. See it right there? This blue up here is dichro down. And when the dichro's down, it's on clear and it's kind of underwater then, right? So if you're using black glass, you obviously can't put a dichro down because you lose the dichro. So you would cut the pieces, they'd be up and they'd be kind of matte finished like that. If you use transparent dichro, something like this, you would figure out which side the dichro is. Do you all know how to do that? Right? You put something sharp, kind of sharp on it, and I can see the reflection in it like a mirror, but there's a space between the tip of this and its reflection. That tells me the dichro's on this side. If I do this, the point of this and the point of the reflection are touching. I now know the dichro's here. Dichro's down. It's going to give it that underwater look, right? So now I would make strips to go across here. In this case, this is green glass with silver on the back. So I don't want the silver on top, it'll just be a bunch of strips of silver. So I put strips of green glass alternating with strips of this blue lavender, but then with the silver on the back. So I just put strips going across with silver on the back. Close enough. Remember, dichro's down. Just try and remember. And I'm just going to go at an angle. It doesn't matter what kind of angle you go at. I'm going at this angle. And that's the spot I want. Grab the pen. I marked it. You guys can see that mark. I can see it, right? I marked it. Take whatever you want. Your glass cutters, whatever. Kind of get it. See that on there? Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm going to move it down just a little bit. But because this glass is so, you know, a variety of colors and shapes and things, I can use the same glass over and over, and it still won't look like I just took one piece of glass and put it on there. I kind of like that about it. This. I might cut this. It's kind of a steep. Let me show you. I'm going to show you really quick. So we're getting there, right? I did this with thin black and standard dichro. So that's only 5 millimeters. So it actually, moved it the wrong way. It actually wants to shrink. And so you can start out with kind of a bigger heart like this and then end up with something small, you know, a little bit smaller, a little bit nicer to wear. Okay, so when I did this one last night, I taped the pieces down to get them to the kiln because I didn't want to use glue or hairspray or something and wait for it to dry. So I just taped them down. But what happened was this little piece right there was supposed to be right here. And I think when the tape contracted, it pulled it down here. So the tape works on the bottom, but I don't think it works on the top. So that was, it was a learning experience, right? This looks so pretty. Right here, it's a little jagged, so I'm gonna fix that. I think that looks pretty good. I would call that a done deal. Move it over here. Oh, and the trick is picking it up. So what I found is one of these offset sort of spatulas from the paint department. You can get them at Michael's or Walmart or something. But super nice for getting these in the kiln. And there you go. If it's going to sit here a little while, I would douse it with a little bit of hairspray so that it would not move when I dropped it into the kiln. I have to place that in. Now I fire these. You know how quick I fire these? 9999 to a full fuse. So like 1450 for 10 minutes and then off. And with it takes about an hour to fire and I don't know, a couple hours to cool down. I can kind of crash cool it and you can have, you know, a piece in no time. It could look something like that. And because it took a little more time, the edges are a little straighter. I'd be kind of good with that one if I just, you know, needed a quick piece. So that one I took a lot of time to get the edges right. This one I took no time to get the edges right. And you can see how wonky they are. But you can take that to your grinder and you know, smooth that down to a shape. I'm not thrilled with that sort of harsh gold line kind of. So I might Dremel a little design in there and then put this whole thing back in on a fire polish. Not with these guys because they're full fuse. I did want to show you one more thing. I'm going to cut a heart without doing two separate pieces. It's not going to be perfect. Okay, so I cut this piece. Kind of got the basic shape. I like my eyes, so I'm going to put this on. But then I take the corner, let's see, can you see that? The corner of my grozer in to where the, you know, the dip in the heart would be. And just little bits at a time, I just start chipping away at it. Getting pretty close. I might stop there. So I have those little dots left over. I could fill this space with those little those little dots. Maybe if I go down here. That looks fairly good. Fairly good. All right. What do you think? Those all done? Bye, guys. What I did was fuse a bunch of those that we made the other day. You guys remember this one? This was the white one that I put teal green and spring green together, but because they're a sulfur and a copper, they reacted, so I got a little bit of a reaction there. It's not too bad. I actually got a lot of the green and the blue, and I didn't expect that. But when it came out, it was kind of boring. So I put that silver-backed pink on there, and that was that light pink glass, silver-backed. It strikes pink. It was just a way to kind of save this one because I knew that green and blue were going to kind of react. So kind of turned out okay. This one, you'll remember, was this glass. It's transparent, so I did it on black. Same thing, you can see that little seam. You can barely see it, but then I took strips of this, dichro down, so it's covered in clear. And you remember I had to flip some of them. But where the strips are, you see how it sort of merges up in those seams? It's kind of a cool little detail. I like that a lot. But that's a really pretty dichro heart, and I never had to use a saw to cut that. I could just use my glass cutter to do it, and just clear dichro, any clear dichro. So I really like that one. This one, if you remember, was kind of bubbly out here. It was kind of a mess. I cleaned that up a little bit on the grinder and just cleaned it up just a little bit. But then I took out my Dremel, this little puppy, and where this row is, and this row is, and this row up here, I had the dichro up, and so it was kind of bland. So I just made a little detail, little pattern, nothing fancy, and then throw it back in the fire polish. This one was with those little bits that I filled in the heart that we used on the previous project, like maybe a week ago. And so it was just a mess. It wasn't a good heart at all. And so I was kind of nipping away at it with my nippers and kind of ruined the shape. So I just ended up turning it into this. So I could throw a little bail up here. Matter of fact, it would go really well with today's shirt. It's a good size. So kind of like that one. I think that's it. At this point, you could put a bail on it. Now you have enough time to get a bunch ready for Valentine's Day. That's it. Thanks for joining me. Bye.